Hey, good morning, everyone. Let's Rob Lukey with Health Sidekick. Let's talk about the lies of weight loss. I want you to just take a look. Just to let you know, obviously, I was uh, fat. It's a reality. Here's where I was, and this was probably my heaviest, where I was about 210 pounds. I'm now approximately 170 pounds, as you can see from my HSK weigh-in today. And I lost that obviously by losing by just barely eating under my HSK prime number. Why? What I want to talk about is the lies of weight loss. And I have people in my family, about probably about 20% of my family, that is fat and overweight. Uh, and I have people that are real close to me that are overweight. And part of the reasons why is because they constantly play that same weight loss lie, the tapes that you hear over and over again. You'll hear somebody say a lie. Well, I blew that, so now I'm going to go ahead. It looks like this day is shot. These type of things are mental shifts that you have to make inside your head, and you do that through a mental and spiritual program. But let's talk about the simplicity of actually the physical side of weight loss. And if you look at the physical side of weight loss, people think, is it true that calories in, calories out? Is that a true statement? Yes and no. Is it true that I can lose weight eating just about anything? Yes and no. Is it true that exercise is not that important when it comes to weight loss? Yes and no. In all of those things, let me take each of them and explain what I mean by that. Is it true that calories in, calories out, that's the reality of weight loss? Well, if we look at HSK and we look at this number right here, you'll see that my HSK number is 1633. And you'll see that what we have here is we have a basic calorie standpoint. Here's my calories in for the day. This is the start of the day. Here's my calories out. It says I'm 1633 calories underneath my HSK prime number. Now, that the difference between calories in, calories out, and just simply stating that that's a fact, it's not necessarily true, because of this reason. Can I lose weight eating, for example, McDonald's every day? I could lose weight eating McDonald's every day. Now, the amount of calories that I can eat and how I feel eating McDonald's, or let's not pick on McDonald's. Let's just say eating maybe junk food all day. Let's put that in the category, because McDonald's has some healthier options once in a while too. But let's say a bunch of junk food. Can I lose weight eating junk food every single day? That means candy, ice cream, cake, high fat meals, French fries, all of that stuff. All of us would agree that from a nutrition standpoint, and remember, nutrition and weight loss aren't synonymous. From a nutrition standpoint, we would absolutely say that that's junk food. We could all probably agree with that. Now, can I lose weight from a calories in? If I take this basic equation that you see on the screen here, if I took calories consumed minus my activity, could I lose weight? The answer is yes. I could, if it was just that simple. But the reality is that how would I feel eating that way? And what kind of energy would it give me? And does it satisfy me? And how much of it could I eat? Could I actually eat enough of it to actually translate any weight loss? That's another big thing. I may not be able to. I may the amount of calories I can eat of that junk food, the amount of food that I can eat might be so low that I start feeling unsatisfied. Now, the physical activity side of it, is exercise important or not important when it comes to weight loss? It's important, but it's a distant second to your diet. And what I mean by that is that exercise, physical activity, is important to your weight loss from this standpoint. How does it make me feel? Does it give me energy? Lifting weights, does it make me stronger? Uh, how does it impact my mental mentality? Is that important? The other flip side of course, this relationship is if we go even deeper and we look at it and we say, what about our spiritual and mental activity? What happens then? Does that play a role in it? Do we increase this equation to include our mental and our spiritual activities? Is that important? So if you can grasp this idea of that calories in that all of these equations are but nuances, and what I mean by that is that there's gray areas that relate specifically to you. Certain foods are going to satisfy you and fill you up, different than the foods that fill me up and satisfy me. The exercise you want to do, if you want to go run a marathon, for example, is going to be different than the exercise I want to do. I don't want to run a marathon, at least this stage in my life. I like my exercise to be walks and surfing and this and things that for me though, are pleasurable. What about your mental and spiritual activity? Is it important to have a good mental and spiritual program when it comes to your overall health? Does it matter if I feel like crud? Is that going to impact what I eat? Is my spiritual, my soul, is that going to matter in relationship to the what I'm eating and the foods I'm doing? All of the lies that you hear, you have to start to turn back to come to complete health. All of the lies that you've listened to from all the bull crud that's out there, you have to start to dismantle. How do you do that? This has been my this has been my experience. The first thing that you have to come to the realize, or at least I had to come to the realization of, is that calories in, calories out is a good starting point from the physical aspect of it. What I also realized is that the majority of people, when it comes to calories in, calories out, all the programs out there, I don't care if you're talking Fitbit, MyFitnessPal, Weight Watchers, all of them use the exact same equations for weight loss, and they're off. They're not specific to me. So I first had to realize that particular basic equation, and then I had to say, well, I have to eat foods that I like. So if I go to my top ranked, for example, and I look at my ranking, and I look at foods, you're going to see that here's my top ranked foods when it comes to weight loss. This isn't some kind of guessing game. These are actually foods. The way Health Sidekick ranks this is it says that based on how these foods translated to weight loss for me, this is how they're ranked. So if you take a look at it, swordfish is up there, steak, flat iron, caramel green apple suckers, popcorn, Chicago mix, grass-fed Hershey's Whopper malted milk balls, uh, steak, ribs, Pop Secret. Anyhow, you can continue to move down the line, and you'll see that it's a variety: Reese's peanut butter cups, Bear Naked granola, pepperoni. What you're going to see: Krispy Kreme chocolate glazed donuts. What you're going to see is that those things, that's not a guessing game. Those are things that actually translated into me losing weight. Because what's important about the calories in, calories out equation is that you're not talking about just calories in, calories eat, calories in, calories out. You have to make sure that the foods you're eating you enjoy. You're never going to stick with it otherwise. And you have to make sure that the foods you eat satisfy you and make you feel good. And the only way that you're going to ever figure that out is that if you start logging specifically. It's not going to be me telling you. It's not going to be some other diet guru telling you. It's going to be you taking the time to say, okay, I'm going to get smarter about my weight loss, because like I've come to the conclusion is losing weight is more about brains than brawn. It's not about your big muscles. It's about your brains and how you can potentially use them. So let's talk about starting to understand that. And one other thing about calories in, calories out, I will tell you this: for me, and this is something that you have to decide on, is that how much food, how are you going to be able to lose weight consistently and over time? And why I mention that is because the majority of people set these grandiose goals. So do I. Here's for an example of what I'll tell you, what I'll show you. If you look at my goals, what you're going to see is my target weight's 169. I weigh 170.3. As you remember, I when Hell Sidekick finally came about, it's been 4 or 5 years in the making. But when it finally started able to log and stuff like that, uh, that's why it shows that right now, at least at this point, I've lost 5.7 pounds. That's since Hell Sidekick has started. But what I want to point out by that from that standpoint is that for me, the way I lose weight is I don't lose weight even though I set this goal. So let's say I set this goal and I say, okay, I want to get to 169. Right now it's currently 7'1". And I say, okay, I want to get there. Oops. I want to get there by 7'1". And I go done. That's my goal. And I go set or edit. And I want to calculate using the HSK calculations. And if you look at this activity, this will give you a basic idea of what I'll get from other sites. If you look at the BMR based on what Harris Benedict or Mifflin, this actually is a mix between Mifflin and Harris Benedict, which all the other sites. If I calculate based on the BMR at where it says I spend most of my day sitting, if I simply do that on all the other sites and I say calculate my BMR, it's going to tell me I can get 1,905 calories a day, which is completely off to hit that 730 goal. If I calculate based on my HSK calculations, it says I can eat 1,476 calories. I know that's an accurate number based on the foods I eat, the exercise I do, and the activities I log. And I know this is a long video, but I'm trying to get to these points. My point is that that's my goal now, because I want to get to 169 over the next month. Now remember, my body fat percentage, I've basically hit my goals. But the question is that's I would say that's a secondary goal for me. What my real goal is simply to try to stay under my HSK number on average. Now, I want to show you something. These averages are real important because what it says to me is that over my last 7 days, let's even take it out a little bit longer. Over the last 14 days, I've had a lot of parties going on and stuff like that. I've had graduation for my son. I had my family in town. So going out to eat, all this type of stuff. So over the last 2 weeks on average, so an average, remember, says that what did I do on average? If I took all of those 14 days together, what did I do on average? And what it says is that I ate 1,648 calories. I had 0.15, and that my average, remember, HSK's prime number is going to be updating daily based on how your weight is impacting you and how the foods and the activities you're doing is impacting your weight. So it'll update daily for you. So what happened is that I ate over that number by 14 calories, which everybody says, oh, wow, that's not a lot. Well, but it translated into me gaining 0.15 pounds. This is where a lot of people miss when it comes to weight loss, is they believe that this is another lie in the weight loss environment. They believe they actually can figure this data out in their heads. They think they can calculate how many calories they can eat and lose weight in their head. And the problem with letting another calorie counter do it other than Hell Sidekick is that if you're like me, chances are they're going to be wrong. And for me, one of the reasons why we started Hell Sidekick is because I used other calorie counters and they were wrong for me. Weight Watchers gave me too much food. MyFitnessPal, horribly wrong. Fitbit, off 400 calories. It just, they didn't work for me. And I can prove that over and over again. So if you're like me, if you're one of those people that doesn't fit into this general term that they use, these general numbers, you're going to be stuck. If you're going to take the time to log, which I think is really important, because again, you're going to have to decide what foods are working for you, what activities are working for you, in my opinion, what mental and spiritual activities are working for you to keep you in overall health and health and happiness. So getting back to that one more time, so if you're going to take that time, you might as well get something that is very accurate. Okay. Now we understand that I ate barely over that and gained weight. What did I do over my last 30 days? Because 30 days is important. Even though I gained in my last 2 weeks, that means that my average weight in the last 2 weeks went up to the previous 2 weeks. I actually lost 0.39 pounds over the last 30 days, even though I had that 2 weeks where 2 or 3 weeks where I was eating a lot of food. So overall, I ate 1600. I ate 25 calories underneath my HSK prime number. Remember, that's the number where I don't gain or lose any weight. And I know it's accurate because I accurately and more importantly, I consistently log my food, activities, and weight. And by the way, I do want to say one other thing about exercise. Right now, we're talking about food. So the lie about food is it calories in, calories out? There's two lies going on there. Number one, that the other calculators and sites work and give you an accurate number. That's one lie. That's not true. It certainly is not true for me. And that is the other lie is that all foods for you are created equal. In that you can eat junk food, for example, calories in, calories out, is going to work for you. Again, can you physically do it and lose weight? Yes, but how will it make you feel? Will you actually be able to stay with it? The other lie that's out there about food, remember, is that you have to eat a certain way. Oh, I have to cut out all bread. I have to cut out all this. Chances are elimination diets are one of the worst things, and you're never going to stick with it. I'm sorry to say, chances of you sticking with an elimination diet for the long term is slim. And it creates binges. Those are the diets that you say, well, I ate carbs today, so now I'm going to eat a bunch of food. Focus on a balanced diet. Focus on something that works well for you, that makes you feel good, that satisfies you and fills you up. That means satisfies you means you might want to put some food in there that you consider to be not that nutritious, but it satisfies you. A bowl of ice cream here, this here, some carbs here, and so forth. Okay, so that's the number one. What's the second lie about the equation? The second lie about the equation is the physical activity. Everybody counting every step, but all this stuff. You certainly can do that inside of Health Sidekick. Counting steps is good for one reason, and that is that if it gets you to do more steps, that's good. If it gets you so involved with where you're spending every minute going, oh, I'm tracking my steps and blah blah blah, and that's all you're thinking about, that can be a big negative that you're not going to stick with. And eventually what happens is that becomes like a painting on the wall. You don't see it anymore. And what I'll tell you is that you can get the same type of mentality by starting to log. In other words, if you have in here, and remember in Health Sidekick, you can actually plan data. If I have in here that I want to do a beach walk, I'll have it by keeping track of those things and being able to log those in. Those things will also translate into you doing more activity. Remember, the day-to-day activity of you getting up, walking to the bathroom, it probably is not really considered exercise or fitness. Going on a walk or doing some type of extracurricular activity is good for you and will get your heart rate up. That'll help. Also, you'll be able to start to understand how that related to what? I'm going to go back a day. How these activities, here's the food that I ate yesterday: cinnamon French toast, a pollo loco, dark chocolate superfruits. I had a steak sandwich. This is the food: spinach, then some churned light double fudge brownie ice cream. Now that's what I ate yesterday for a total of 1,572 calories. I didn't do any exercise yesterday. That was my day off. What happened today? I lost a little bit of weight, but more, what did I do from a spiritual standpoint? I logged my food. I had some. I did some morning prayer. I went to church, or whatever you do for your spiritual aspect of it, that keeps me in check and helps me go ahead and stay in my physical, my overall health equation. But let's go back a day and say, okay, what'd you do the day before? The day before, I did 1,854 calories. Remember this, that it's all about how it translates. So I was underneath my HSK prime number, 180. What about the day before that? The day before that, I was at 1601. I was only down underneath my HSK prime number by 41. What about the day before that? I was underneath it a tiny bit. What about the day before that? I was over it by 214 calories. The nice thing about having the primary goal of just staying over your HSK prime number and also understanding your averages. Remember, that's important to understand. The nice thing about having that secondary goal is that you can have days where you end up over, as long as you're staying below, or you're trying to stay below. Sometimes you'll be over it. Like I said, over the last 2 weeks, I was actually over my HSK prime number, but on my 30-day, I was under. So as long as you understand that it's what you do on average with your HSK prime number, and that, yeah, you can have weeks and even a couple weeks like I did where you're eating a lot, maybe not getting as much exercise, but mentally, again, it's more about brains than brawn. You understand that you're still underneath and you're still in weight loss zone. Even if the scale doesn't show it right that second, if you're logging consistently, that's every day, your foods the best you can. I don't weigh and measure anything, but some people choose to do that. And my personal thing is you just simply do your extra activity, again, the extracurricular activity. And then I also think it's important to log your mental and spiritual stuff. Once you get away from whatever you're doing mentally and spiritually to keep you fit, that can take you out of your game, and all of a sudden you're back into feeding all those lies into your mind that got you where that got you fat in the first place, like I was. And again, I have a lot of family members that still to this day fight that battle, and for whatever reason, still can't get out of that loop, those lies of, I have to eat this certain way, or I can't do this, or I can't. You can design any program you want for yourself for overall health. Simply go ahead and focus on all four of these things in that equation. Excuse me, all three of these things in this equation: the physical, mental, and spiritual side of it. Focus on the calories you're eating and start to analyze how it's impacting your body. Remember, Health Sidekick's going to crunch all those numbers for you. So regardless of what you're eating, the exercise you're doing, it's going to give you an accurate number that's going to say that if you stay below, you're going to lose weight. So it's going to do that. But you want to also take some personal responsibility to understand, how is that food I'm eating impacting me? How's it making me feel, so that you're able to stay on track. If your diet is hard, it doesn't have to be hard to lose weight. It really doesn't. You may not lose weight super fast. I certainly didn't lose weight super fast, but the reality is, for me, is that I'm not the type of guy that can have some kind of highly restrictive diet and stick with it. It doesn't work for me. I like eating food too much, and I like living too much. So anyhow, I hope everybody has a great day. I know that was a long one, but I wanted to kind of go over that. Thanks. Bye.